12 minutes.
Yeah. Or 11:30 actually.
Okay. Okay, I was talking about the rifle range and some of the fun stuff there. Okay, so we talked about running back. We'd run back some days. I remember one particular day, March would run back from the rifle range, which was, I don't know how far it was, from the company area. So we're running back in formation, you know, doing the, and singing and all. And so I'm the fourth squad leader, how many squads there were. I'm the squad leader on the inside, running, so that means everybody, all platoon to my left, all the squad leaders to my left are, we're running like that, so we have all the squad leaders in front, everybody's lined up on the squad to the right, so I'm running and there's a 10 or 20 foot space that you have to maintain between your platoon and the next platoon. The DIs are on the left in the road, making sure everything looks good to them. So we're running, there's a steep hill before you go up to, get right before you get up to the tank hill, going up the tank hill, real steep. And so we're running up it, we run a lot good ways, and have our rifles at port arms. And there's this guy in front of us, it was one of the fat boys, he was dropping back from his platoon, he couldn't keep up. So he's dropping back and getting close to me, so I'm having to slow down because he's getting closer and closer to me, and I'm afraid I'll slip and fall and knock anyway, didn't want that to happen. My DI is yelling at me because I'm making the distance gap grow, and that's unacceptable. And so he's yelling at me and screaming at me, and he's over there. And so I'm yelling at the guy in front of me, the fat boy. And he's just trying to keep up. He's probably dead tired. I don't know. I don't care. So there's no place for him to go to the right. I wasn't looking. I'm trying to get up to my spot. So I just reached and pushed him off to the side because he would not get out of the way. And the DI's yelling at me. He's getting real serious, which is not a good thing. So I pushed him off, and there was I didn't care. There was a rail over there, and I guess he fell. I don't know what happened to him. So I closed the gap real quick. We ran onto the company area, which was probably a couple of tenths of a mile, and then we marched into the company area and stopped, got in formation, did left face, and was standing at parade rest. Listened to somebody, I guess, first sergeant, somebody, I don't know. Well, we're standing at parade rest, and all of a sudden I wake up, I'm on the ground, and this guy had come up behind me and roundhoused me, just bam, and knocked me out. Well, I had two Puerto Ricans, I think two, I believe, in my squad, and they just jumped on him and beat the pulp out of him before anybody could get them off. I didn't realize how loyal they were. But I couldn't, speaking of the Puerto Ricans, so that was one of the fun things that happened. That's the first time I'd been knocked unconscious. And they could not, as I said before, they could not speak English, and so they got out of the KP, because they couldn't understand to go to KP at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I remember, I'll never will forget. So my next oldest brother John had gotten drafted when he graduated from Auburn, and he was made an MP up at and he was stationed up at Huntsville. Well, he was getting out when I was in basic. Of course, I didn't know that. Just news in the Army, and he showed up one day right at the end, and things were right at the end of basic. And it was a lot lax in, and so we were hanging around the barracks for some reason, and John came up, and I was talking to him, and he was an E5, he was a sergeant, and had his MP uniform on and all that, you know. So he's standing there talking to me, and my Puerto Ricans came up, and they, you know, he had his MP patch on, he was an MP, and his little helmet on and all that stuff. And they started talking to him in English. I could not believe it. So I'm standing there with my jaw open, just listening to him, and they're asking him how they can get out of the Army because, I don't know, somebody was sick or something. But the whole time they could speak English. And they had gotten out of every KP that we had because I couldn't get them to understand He'd go, man, I was one gullible dude. I could not believe it. So anyway, that's 2 stories. Most of the time it was just boring. I liked bayonet training. It was fun. You know, you put your little you didn't take it off the sheath, but you know, put your bayonet on. Sometimes, mostly it was just the rifle. And there was the chant that the DI that was in charge up on the little stand in the front of the company as we were spread out. And he'd yell, there are 2 kind of bayonet fighters, the quick and the, and what are they? And we would yell back, the quick and the dead. And what are y'all? The quick. Or 2 types of bayonet fighters. And we were definitely not the dead, so we were the quick. And so we'd practice all the parrying, the short thrust, the long thrust, the parry, and all this stuff. And then after we practiced that and got proficient at that with enough knowledge to get ourselves killed, and we felt confident, so we could get ourselves killed if we ever had to use a bayonet, which they didn't issue in all. So anyway, so we went down to the pugil pits, which is a pit about 2 people. It was about 15 feet in diameter. It had sandbags piled about this high in a circle, and the platoon would stand around the circle, and in the circle was the DI that taught bayonet fighting. And there were these, you would be given a stick, it was about this big, like a wooden dowel, and on each end was a round padded end to it, about this tall and about that big around. And you would have a helmet, like a football helmet with a wire cage mask, and you would put gloves on. And you would get in there and you would have a fight. He'd call out your name and you would go in there and you would start a fight, you know, with bayonets. And the idea was to knock the other person down to the ground by whatever means is possible. You know, the correct way or just get him down to the ground. Now, you lost, you got out of the pit. If you won, you fought the next guy. Now, if you beat the next guy, which if you were stupid enough to do that, he put 2 people in there against you. And then they just pummeled you. And I can remember one guy, I don't know what his purpose was, why he thought he had to beat the first guy and then beat the second guy and then get 2 of them on him. But by the time they got, because the DI told you when to quit. I mean, if you were on the ground and the DI didn't like you, he would encourage the guy to just beat the snot out of you. And well, you wanted to get out. But that guy got, I mean, he was good, but I guess, I don't know what the DI was. Maybe he's teaching you to run afterwards or humiliate him. I don't know what, but that guy got beat up. Whoever he was, pretty bad. I mean, because you learn that you don't use it like a rifle, you use it like a baseball bat. So if you could knock the person and knock it out, and then you would just come around, not what they had taught you, but basically street fighting with a stick and knock the fool out of the guy to try to get him on the ground. Because if he got on the ground, then you could really pulverize him with your, either the end like that or hit him with a bat, whatever, however you felt, what you felt froggy about. Let's see, that's the pugil pits, bayonet practice, the rifle, we did that. Let me see, what did I write down here? Can't read my writing. Okay. One thing we also did, and I can't remember if this was in basic or AIT, and AIT stands for Advanced Individual Training. And we would, after you finished basic, everybody went through basic. And it was really interesting. I didn't think about it at the time, but basic, everybody was drafted. So you had everybody in society, people that were studying to be lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs, guys from the back hills of Tennessee, the guy from Oregon, wherever, you know, you were just all there. So it was kind of cool because you got to meet people that you would never meet in your life with everybody's accent. I was the only one there that didn't have an accent. At least I thought that. And, which may not be true. I may have an accent. Now I've forgotten where I was going. Where was I going, Joe?
I don't know.
I was talking about that.
Let's pause it while you're
Pause it, yeah.
thinking.
Pause it.